Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report. And we got some major Raiders trade rumors on Matthew Stafford and could the silver and black trade up for Cam Ward. We're going to be talking about both of those topics here on today's show. Before we get into both of those stories, my question to the nation is this. Would you rather trade up for Matthew Stafford or would you rather trade up for Cam Ward? So you can either trade for Stafford, trade up for Ward. My answer is going to be at the very, very end of today's video because I want to tell you what it could take to get Stafford, what it could take to potentially get Cam Ward. Before we get into both of those stories, there was some news that happened today. The Las Vegas Raiders, they re-signed Isaiah Pola-Mao to a 2-year, $8.45 million deal. What does this mean for Marcus Epps and what does this mean for Tre'von Moehrig? First off, Epps probably not going to be coming back. Second, Tre'von Moehrig still could be an option because he plays more free safety. When I look at this move, they did give him starting caliber safety money, but versatility is very key for Patrick Graham, and versatility is very key for Pete Carroll, especially in the secondary. They're going to use Pola-Moa a little bit more. I would love a pairing of like Javon Holland with him, but he could be this box safety that could kind of play up a very versatile role, strong safety overall. I think what the Raiders are trying to do is make him strong safety number 1 / safety number 3 overall. But this does not mean that the Raiders aren't going to still go out and try to sign maybe another strong safety or go out and try to sign a free safety like a Tre'von Moehrig. Anytime that the Raiders do anything, though, I promise you, I'm going to do my best to keep you up to date. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. I did put out the Isaiah Pola-Mao video already, maybe like 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, depending on when you see this video in particular. But I promise, when the Raiders do something, especially this time of the year, you better be subscribed or else you're going to miss it. Speaking of you might miss it, you might have missed that Matthew Stafford and all these rumors right now around the Raiders because there's reports that the Rams have given Stafford permission to speak to other teams. This isn't anything new. What's new is the Raiders, according to Albert Breer, are interested in trading for Stafford. And if the Raiders trade for Stafford, they are also going to have to pay him. So this isn't a situation where you could just go on over the cap or SPO track, look at how much money Matthew Stafford's making and just say, oh, the Raiders could trade for him. They'd only have to pay him $23 million this year, and then he's got $0 guaranteed. No, if the Raiders trade for Stafford, they have to give him a brand new contract. So anytime that there's a lot of smoke around a topic, I'm somebody that likes to say where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you haven't noticed the amount of smoke over the last 48 hours around Stafford going to the Raiders, well then, I think you need to wake up and change your fire alarm because there is smoke everywhere around this situation. I said last week that it's 100% going to happen. The Raiders will either sign or trade for a quarterback early this offseason because they have to. They have to be able to show other NFL teams. So am I surprised that the Raiders are interested in Stafford? No, you shouldn't really be either because he is the top quarterback that is available on the market. I'm talking he's better than Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, whatever quarterback might be available. Matthew Stafford is the best one from all those names. And if you're an organization that has already said that you're going to be aggressive, we should not be surprised that the Raiders are doing their due diligence on a Matthew Stafford at 37 years old, considering the fact that a lot of people thought Tom Brady was washed, and then he ended up signing the brand new deal and ended up winning the Super Bowl with John Spytek, who is now with the Silver and Black. So I think the question is this. What would it take for the Raiders to go get Stafford? Last week it was reported that the Rams were looking for a first-round pick. That ain't happening anymore. So now that we know some of these new reports, now that we know some of the new rumors, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through and I'm going to tell you what I personally believe it's going to take for the Raiders to go out and get Stafford. The first thing that you need to know is this. You need to know your competition. What are we going up against? What do they have to offer via draft, via players? That way we can know what we're going to have to give up in a trade. Right now, the teams, according to Albert Breer, that have shown the most interest in Stafford, the Cleveland Browns, who picked number 2, the New York Giants, who picked number 3, the Raiders, and then down there is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've been looking for a veteran quarterback for quite some time. So knowing that these are the teams that you're going to have to go up against, That's really important, especially because of the draft picks here. And also, let's face it, the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably a better veteran destination than the Las Vegas Raiders as it stands. What is the cost via a trade? Now, this is a trade that I would offer the Rams. I'm not sitting here saying that I know exactly what the Rams are looking for, but right now it sounds like Los Angeles, to make them happy, you got to give them a second-round pick. I'm not just going to give straight up a second-round pick for Stafford, because even though it's being reported, Sean McVay, Stafford, it's all good, you don't move on from weird situations like the Cooper Kupp situation. You know, Matthew Stafford's wife's been talking about her being okay leaving Los Angeles. I know what they want, but I'm not going to just give them a second-round pick. So here's the trade that I threw together. The Raiders get Matthew Stafford. We get the fourth-round pick from Los Angeles. We give them a second, and we give them a fifth, but we're also going to get that fourth in return. To me, a third-round pick might be good enough to get this deal done with Matthew Stafford. And if all of it cost was a third, obviously, I would rather just do that. Let's go to the contract now, because not only do you have to make the trade, you got to go out and you got to pay him. I'll tell you what this contract for Matthew Stafford could potentially look like, because I'm a creature of habit. I like to go back and I look at past history. There's a certain contract that I think is very close to John Spytek and very close to Tom Brady that would tell me of what I think that if the Raiders made the deal for Stafford, what it could potentially look like for this organization. And coming up here in just a moment, I'm going to tell you what I think that contract could look like. Before I do, though, huge shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. You pick more, you pick less. It's really that easy. There's a reason why Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I know that football is over, but hey, basketball's right here, hockey's right here. You can put some money in your pocket, and it is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award and winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts, like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. So let's just say the Raiders go out and they make a trade for Stafford, okay? The reason why this needs to be talked about is because if the Rams trade Stafford, it costs them $45.3 million in dead cap space, saves them only $4 million. The cap hit for the Rams is $49 million in 2025 and $53 in 2026. From what it sounds like, Stafford wants a deal that's going to pay him $50 million plus per year, but he also wants more guarantees. And because he doesn't have all those guarantees, I think that's why you're having a little bit of an issue right now with Los Angeles, because they like Stafford, but they don't want to have to give him a brand new contract. So knowing that, and knowing that the Raiders could potentially be a team that's interested, if the Silver and Black make this deal, and I'm telling you right now, there's already so much conversation about Stafford at the NFL Combine. You're going to hear it a little bit more. But if I'm the Raiders and you make the deal for Stafford, this is my projection of what it would cost them. 2 years, $100 million, fully guaranteed. The Raiders just give Stafford $100 million fully guaranteed, and they give him a huge signing bonus, which would lower his cap this season, which, hypothetically speaking, again, just a projection, I think that you could see the cap being somewhere around $25 million for this year and close to $50 million for next season. That might even go up a little bit, which I'm okay with, because salary cap year after year goes up and up and up and up. And even if you wanted to stack it a little bit more, you could do so. But when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they brought Tom Brady down there, they brought him down on a fully guaranteed contract. And when you go look at a lot of those other teams out there that are interested in Stafford, nobody has the money or the resources that the Raiders do. And knowing that, I'm not afraid to go out and give them some guaranteed money. Here are the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks on a per year basis. And as you can see, that $50 million is kind of the number where that's where the NFL is going to go. And the number is going to go up and up and up even further we kind of go from here. I would say anywhere, he's not going to get Trevor Lawrence like 55 and above type money. I think that you're going to be somewhere between Tua and Jalen Hurts type of money, though, for Matthew Stafford. He clearly, though, wants in that $50 million per year range. So if you go out and you make the deal for Stafford, what does that long-term plan look like for the Raiders? Because obviously Stafford's 37, not getting any younger. Pete Carroll, I don't know if you know this, he's going to be 74. He ain't getting any younger. So you got to have a long-term plan with whatever quarterback you bring in. And one of the reasons why I like the idea of Stafford is because no matter what quarterback you bring in, there's going to be risk. And I believe Matthew Stafford is the lowest amount of risk considering of what you're going to have to pay him and what you might have to pay some other quarterbacks not named Justin Fields. But he would be your starter for 2 to 3 seasons. And he's the guy that you got locked in. You're trying to tie him with Pete Carroll. He also could be a quarterback that could help develop and really be a part of that Tom Brady plan, which that Tom Brady plan is they want to draft a QB, let him learn underneath a solid bridge for a year or two, and then you hand the keys to the car. But the fact that the Raiders are aggressive, the fact that the Raiders have already come out and said that they are in win-now mode, a trade for Matthew Stafford proves that they are in win-now mode. Coming up next here, though, could the Raiders trade for Cam Ward? When I woke up this morning and I saw the report from Albert Breer, and then I saw a report that the Raiders could trade up for Cam Ward, I'm not going to lie to you, I was like, today might be the greatest Monday I've ever seen, because anybody that's watched this show knows how I feel about Cam Ward and knows how I feel about the Raiders trading potentially for Matthew Stafford. If you didn't see the report, it is this. The Raiders are expected to try to trade up for Cam Ward according to Tony Pauline. I will say you got to take what Tony Pauline says with a grain of salt. He's been wrong, he's been right, but you know what? I would say his hit rate is just as accurate as any Raiders beat reporter out there. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about this report. He also said that there's a reasonable chance Sanders is there at number 6, which I totally agree with. I think that there is a reasonable chance that Sanders is there at number 6. But he also said that the Raiders are believed to, quote, have their sights set on Cam Ward. I'll tell you this right now. I have not really heard that the Raiders have their sights set on Cam Ward. It would make me excited because I think Cam Ward is the best fit with Chip Kelly and the Raiders. I want the Raiders to draft a QB. I just think that they're going to sign or trade for somebody. But if they totally miss on being able to go out and sign or trade for a quarterback like a Stafford and Aaron Rodgers, whoever, then if I'm the Raiders, then yeah, you would have to try to trade up for Cam Ward. But this Pauline report does kind of go against everything that we've been hearing. We haven't really heard that the Raiders want to trade up for Cam Ward. We've heard that the Raiders are more interested in staying pat at number 6 and that the Raiders are more interested in going out and finding a little bit of a veteran. But I know that this team's going to be aggressive this offseason. To me, I would say the only way under the sun that the Raiders trade up to go get Cam Ward, and if you're going to trade up to get him, you're going to have to trade up to go get him at number 1. The only way that that's going to happen is if Las Vegas does miss on every single quarterback, every single viable potential starter on the open market, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think happens because of the money they have and because of the plan that the Raiders already have in place. So I do think that it's going to be unlikely that the Raiders are going to trade up for Cam Ward, but I'd be ecstatic about it. But I always do say that smart organizations do smart things. And if you're the Raiders and you're operating this way right now, that it's either Cam Ward or Matthew Stafford, that's how a smart organization operates. Because if you don't have a QB, it's hard to win in the league. I will also say that I've broken down what it could potentially cost to trade up for Cam Ward or the number 1 overall pick in the past. And I will always do my best to switch it up based on what is being reported and the latest rumors that are going around. And I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I really think that this is all it would cost to go up to number 1. The number 1 pick is maybe the lowest that it's been in quite some time. The Titans have already said that they're open to trading the pick. The Browns are at 2. The Giants are at number 3. I mean, shit, if all of it cost you was your first, your second, and a fifth, so pick 6, picks 37, and then pick 144, and then you're able to go get your quarterback, I would do this trade in a heartbeat. And I know giving up picks scares some people, so think about it. You'd have 2 third-round picks. You could trade back up to try to go get somebody else. With 3 sixth-round picks, you'd be able to make up 144. I'm telling you right now, this is a good value if the Raiders were serious about trading up for Cam Ward. And if you're still like Mitch, that's too much. With all due respect, then, you're going into a play. This is a yard sale type of deal. If a yard sale type of deal isn't there, then you shouldn't be shopping in the first place. So at the very beginning of the show, I told you, if I would rather trade for Matthew Stafford, or would I rather trade up for Cam Ward? So I've already told you, I'm going to have to give up, probably a second and a fifth, and you're going to get Matthew Stafford. You get a fourth-round pick back, but you're going to have to give him $100 million guaranteed. Or do I want to trade up for Cam Ward? Here's where I'd stand on that. I personally would rather the Raiders trade up for Ward because of that long-term ability, and I really have a lot of faith in Ward and Chip Kelly's ability together. Though, I think trading for Stafford is the much more likely option than somebody like Ward. But if you were to tell me right now, if I were to sit in a room, Mitch, what are the top two options for the Raiders? The top two options for the Raiders are either A, trading for Matthew Stafford, going up and getting Cam Ward, or if we're talking free agency, signing Justin Fields to a cheap deal, because I know that trading for Stafford scares me, but I would rather trade for Matthew flippin' Stafford and pay him $50 million a year than signing an unknown Sam Darnold. I get it was 1 year, but if Sam Darnold's $40 million, if Russell Wilson's $38, I'll just pay that a little bit of extra money because we did just get a bump in salary cap space anyway and give that money to Matthew Stafford. My point is I want the Raiders to win, and going after Matthew Stafford, going after Cam Ward proves that John Spytek, Pete Carroll, and Tom Brady are clearly trying to win this season. And if you get Stafford and you get this table set, that AFC West is a hell of a table. Matthew Stafford and freaking Pete Carroll, they're not going to bat an eye to those other AFC West coaches. And I'm sick and tired of being the laughingstock of the AFC West. Cam Ward, Matthew Stafford make the Raiders legit contenders in 2025.